Welcome back to Temple Emanu. Happy beginning of July and happy Independence Week and weekend coming up. This week's Torah portion, appropriately enough, is Korach. Korach, Moses' cousin, actually Moses, Aaron and Miriam's cousin, conducts in this Torah portion the most serious and significant attempt to overthrow Moses, Aaron, and Miriam's authority in the history of the 40 years of wandering of the Hebrews in the wilderness between Egypt and the Promised Land. Korach is also a Levite. He combines together with the descendants of Reuven, the oldest child of Jacob, because both have claims on power, and they combine together to try to overthrow Moses' rule. Of course, we know that this rebellion was unsuccessful, and in a famous scene, the rebels are swallowed up alive in the earth. Problem is, we see the Bnei Korach referred to later on in the Tanakh, so some of the Korachites certainly would have remained alive. It's an appropriate Torah portion for this Independence Week in the United States because this is the week in which we celebrate our successful rebellion against the British Empire. It teaches us that legitimate claims to power need to be addressed and they need to be satisfied. Not necessarily given into, but certainly the claims of all people in a society or all legitimate factions within a society have to be dealt with and addressed so that there is not a rebellion or a breach or, as happens in this week's Torah portion, an enormous amount of death. Not only the swallowing of the Korachites or the followers of Korach into the earth, but also we're also told that there's simply a plague. And there's a vision in the Parshat of the plague kind of proceeding through the camp, eating away at the population until, at Moses' urging, Aaron literally goes and stands at the borderline and literally stops the plague, is able to bring about some kind of peace. It's one of the stories that gives Aaron the reputation as the Rodef Shalom, the pursuer of peace among the people of Israel. Of course, when we think of the American Revolution, we think of the question of what would have happened if King George III or his advisors had been able to work with instead of only against the colonists in North America who were about to rebel. It leads the rabbis to tell us that the denial of justice is an attack on peace and causes rebellion and causes breaches in our society. It's a good lesson for us on this Independence Day. This Independence Day, when we think about the fact that we are trying, still, after all these years, trying to create a society here in North America wherein we do address each other's grievances, where concerns and needs are dealt with in a democratic and an efficient way as possible. We know from the story of Korach that the absolute denial of the rights of others leads only to breaches and ultimately may keep some people in power for a little bit longer, but is not a long-term solution to bringing about the kind of peace and prosperity that we want in our world. Have a safe and great Independence Day week. Shabbat Shalom.